the ladies at The View, I don't know. I just don't know what this is. I mean, other than state TV. And they're out there carrying the water of a guy who, wow, has to get woken up by his cat. The latest and greatest, ladies and gentlemen. The President of the United States of America doesn't have an alarm clock. No, he's got his fluffy tabby cat. I couldn't believe this story. I mean, come on. So Joe Biden typically wakes up at 7 a.m. The Daily Mail went and did like a whole deep dive on his day, which is like 7 to 7. He eats dinner with Jill at 7, he eats breakfast. In the morning, he gets woken up by this little tabby cat who runs into his room to wake him up because the tabby cat wants food. I mean, this is not a good look. It's just not a good look. I mean, what was amazing too when they tried to do this deep dive into his schedule is like there's these black holes. Now, Donald Trump used to have those too. In fairness, like he would actually block off big, giant hordes of time because he wanted to make phone calls. He wanted to talk to people. He wanted to watch the networks, see what people were saying. I will say this, he didn't do any reading. He didn't talk to his foreign policy experts, but he actually reached out to a lot of journalists, myself included, to say, hey, what's really going on here? What's really going on there? He was a sponge for news, right? He really wanted to know what was happening in real time, live time, and then he would react to that. And his reactions, his instincts, at least from a foreign policy perspective, were really so different than anyone in the so-called swamp understood or could relate to. They were common sense reactions, but they were also reactions that people were like, wait, what did he do? What did he do? I think he very much wanted to be hands-on. He wanted to have direct lines of contact with people as opposed to layers and layers and layers. Now you could say that's no good because we need those layers. Or you could say, hey, you know what? He's playing the game a different way. And maybe that's unsettling to all these world leaders all across the globe. And maybe there's some value in being somewhat unsettling, right? You don't want to be the dependable sort of ninny, which is what we've become over in Europe, right? They look to us and we spend all this money on NATO and we're there sort of championing that and they're able to rely on us. And he's like, nope, not happening. Hey, Germany, this is, everybody's making a big deal of his thing in South Carolina the other day. That actually wasn't that big a deal because he's been saying that for a while. In fact, he looked at all of them straight in the eye at one of those NATO meetings. It was like, hey, you're going to pay your fair share or else. So these countries are expected to contribute a certain percentage of GDP. Germany wasn't doing it. France wasn't doing it. He's like, enough already. Okay. Like this is not going to fly because it's too costly for the American people. And so this is a very, very, very different approach. A neat approach, but one that is causing a lot of angst. Look, Joe Biden, we know he is 81 years old and he's an older 81. And when you see this sort of decline, I would say mentally, you really start to have to say, is it really appropriate to be running him? And yeah, I don't know their workaround. I told you yesterday, it's like, have you ever dealt with an elderly person you're trying to take away their car keys? Good luck. They don't want to give back he's got the keys to the kingdom. I mean, he's got the keys to the White House. You think he's going to suddenly roll over and play dead and say, sorry, I don't need to be here anymore? Let me have Kamala step in or Hillary Clinton or Michelle Obama. He's not going to do that. There's no way. And people are like, well, maybe Jill will push him. No, she won't. Her only source of power effectively is through her husband. And she also probably knows that the day he leaves that White House, he's going to go downhill fast. Typically, anybody who struggles with these issues, as he's clearly, I'm not a doctor, but I can see what I see, as he is struggling with, once you're totally out of having your mind active on a daily basis, it's all downhill. So she doesn't want that for him. He wants to stay on. That's why he was so angry. He was the crotchety, angry old man when he came out talking to reporters. He came out swinging. No, I still got it. I still got it. Well, do you? Do you?